Module 3 Antenna Basics. An antenna is defined by Webster's Dictionary as a usually metallic device for radiating or receiving radio waves. The IEEE standard definitions of terms for antennas defines the antenna as a means for radiating or receiving radio waves. In other words, the antenna is the transitional structure between free space and a guiding device. Antennas are a very important component of communication systems. By definition, an antenna is a device used to transform an RF signal traveling on a conductor into an electromagnetic wave in free space. Antennas demonstrate a property known as reciprocity, which means that an antenna will maintain the same characteristics regardless if it is transmitting or receiving. Most antennas are resonant devices which operate efficiently over a relatively narrow frequency band. An antenna must be tuned to the same frequency band of the radio system to which it is connected, otherwise the reception and the transmission will be impaired. In radio engineering, an antenna is the interface between radio waves propagating through space and electric currents moving in metal conductors used with a transmitter or receiver. An antenna is a specialized transducer that converts radio frequency fields into alternate current or vice versa. There are two basic types: the receiving antenna, which intercepts RF energy and delivers AC to electronic equipment, and the transmitting antenna, which is fed with AC from electronic equipment and generates an RF field. At frequencies below 3 GHz, many different types of antennas are used. The simplest is a length of wire connected at one end to a transmitter or receiver. More often, the radiating or receiving element is placed at a distance from the transmitter or receiver, and AC, alternating current, is delivered to or from the antenna by means of an RF transmission line. Principle of radiation. The functionality of an antenna is power radiation or reception. Antenna can be connected to the circuitry at the station through a transmission line. The functioning of an antenna depends upon the radiation mechanism of a transmission line. A conductor which is designed to carry current over large distances with minimum losses is termed as a transmission line. For a transmission line to become a waveguide or to radiate power has to be processed as such. If the power has to be radiated, though the current conduction is with uniform velocity, the wire or transmission line should be bent, truncated or terminated. If the transmission line has current which accelerates or deaccelerates with a time varying constant, then it radiates the power even though the wire is straight. The device or tube, if bent or terminated to radiate energy, then it is called a waveguide. Figure shows radio communication link between transmitting antenna and receiving antenna. Let us consider a voltage source connected to a two-conductor transmission line which is connected to an antenna. Applying a voltage across the two-conductor transmission line creates an electric field between the conductors. The electric field has associated with it electric lines of force which are tangent to the electric field at each point, and their strength is proportional to the electric field intensity. The electric lines of force have a tendency to act on the free electrons associated with each conductor and force them to be displaced. The movement of the charges creates a current that in turn creates a magnetic field intensity. Associated with the magnetic field intensity are magnetic lines of force which are tangent to the magnetic field. The electric field lines start on positive charges and end on negative charges. They also can start on positive charge and end at infinity. Start at infinity and end on a negative charge, or form closed loops neither starting or ending on any charge. Magnetic field lines always form closed loops encircling current carrying conductors because there are no magnetic charges. If we assume that the voltage source is sinusoidal, we expect the electric field between the conductors to also be sinusoidal with a period equal to that of the applied source. The relative magnetic of the electric field intensity is indicated by the density of the lines of force. The creation of time-varying electric and magnetic fields between the conductors forms electromagnetic waves which travel along the transmission line. The electromagnetic waves enter the antenna and have associated with them electric charges and corresponding currents. The spacing between wires is assumed to be a small fraction of wavelength. Further on, the transmission line opens out in a tapered transition. As the separation approaches the order of a wavelength or more, the wave tends to be radiated so that the opened out line acts like an antenna which launches a free space wave. The currents on the transmission line flow out antenna and end there, but the fields associated with them keep on going. Spherical coordinates. An antenna pattern is three-dimensional and therefore its description requires a three-dimensional coordinate system. Two possibilities are rectangular coordinates x, y, z and spherical coordinates are theta and phi. The spherical coordinate system is more appropriate because the radiation pattern may be expressed in terms of the electric field intensity. For example, at fixed distance r from the antenna, at all points on the spherical surface at that distance. Specific points on the surface are then defined by the direction angles theta and phi. The pattern then becomes a function of only two independent variables since r is constant, and this fact greatly simplifies matters. The variables x, y and z range from minus infinity to plus infinity, whereas r range from 0 to infinity. R range from 0 to infinity, always positive. Angle theta covers the range of 0 to 180 and phi goes from 0 to 360 degree. The angle theta is called the polar angle. Phi is the angle of longitude. The system of angular coordinates used to describe positions on the surface of the earth is essentially a spherical coordinate system with the radial coordinate fixed. It is convenient to use the geographic system of coordinates in discussing antenna patterns that consist of a single main lobe of radiation. The axis of the lobe is assumed to lie in the xy plane, so that its longitude angle is phi is equal to 0 degree. Then the angle theta is measured in the xz plane and corresponds to the latitude angle of geographic coordinates. However, in this context, theta is usually referred to as the elevation angle and phi is called the azimuth angle. The value of theta corresponding to the beam axis is called the elevation angle of the beam. A positive elevation angle is equal to the complement of the polar angle in the corresponding system of true spherical coordinates. If an antenna is imagined to be located at the center of a spherical coordinate system, its radiation pattern is determined by measuring the electric field intensity over the surface of a sphere at some fixed distance r. Since the field E is then a function of the two variable theta and phi, it is written E of theta, phi in functional notation. A measurement of the electric field intensity E of theta, phi of an electromagnetic field in free space is equivalent to a measurement of the magnetic field intensity H of theta, phi. Since the magnitudes of the two quantities are directly related by E is equal to H into characteristic impedance for the far field. Therefore, the pattern could equally well be given in terms of E and H. The power density of the field P of theta, phi can also be computed when E of theta phi is known. The relation is E square divided by Z naught. Therefore, a plot of the antenna pattern in terms of P of theta, phi conveys the same information as the plot of the magnitude of E of theta, phi. Sometimes the polarization properties of E may also be plotted by forming a polarization pattern. Dividing a field component by its maximum value, we obtain a normalized or relative field pattern, which is a dimensionless number with maximum value of unity. Thus, the normalized field pattern for the electric field is given by normalizing the power with respect to its maximum value yields a normalized power pattern as a function of angle which is dimensionless number with a maximum value of unity. Thus, normalized power pattern is given by to its maximum value, where S of theta, phi is Poynting vector, Decibel level is given by decibel level of the power is given by 10 log of normalized power pattern. Pointing vector is given by the equation square of theta component electric theta component and the square of the phi component of the function theta and phi divided by z naught. Watts per meter square, where z naught is intrinsic impedance of a space. Another important factor in the radiation pattern of an antenna is beam width. In the radiation pattern of an antenna, the main lobe is the main beam of the antenna where maximum and constant energy radiated by the antenna flows. Beam width is the aperture angle from where most of the power is radiated. The two main considerations of this beam width are half power beam width and first null beam width. Half power beam width and first null beam width. According to the standard definition, the angular separation in which the magnitude of the radiation pattern decreases by 50% or minus 3 dB from the peak of the main beam is the half power beam width. In other words, beam width is the area where most of the power is radiated, which is a peak power. Half power beam width is the angle in which relative power is more than 50% of the peak power in the effective radiated field of the antenna. When a line this line when a line is drawn between radiation pattern's origin and the half power points on the major lobe on both the sides, the angle between those two vectors is termed as half power beam width. This angle is half power beam width. So half power beam width angle is equal to 2 theta. Unit of the half power beam width is radians or degrees. At half power points, field intensity is one by root 2. Second type of the beam width is first null beam width. According to the standard definition, the angular span between the first pattern nulls adjacent to the main lobe is called as the first null beam width. First null beam width is the angular separation quoted away from the main beam which is drawn between the null points of radiation pattern on its major lobe. This line. So this is a first null beam width. First null beam width is equal to 2 theta, which is nothing but it's the 2 times of half power beam width. Unit is in radians or degrees. At half power point, at first null points, field intensity is 0. Radiation pattern characteristics. 3 dB beam width, it's a half power beam width. The angular separation in which the magnitude of the radiation pattern decreases by 50% from the peak of the main beam is the half power beam width. First null beam width, the angular span between the first pattern nulls adjacent to the main lobe is called as the first null beam width. Maximum signal position, the direction along which the field strength is maximum is called the direction of maximum radiation. The angular zone around the direction of maximum radiation is called the main beam of the antenna. Side lobes, the local maxima in the radiation pattern are called the side lobes of the radiation pattern. The antenna should radiate along the direction of the main beam. The side lobes essentially indicate the leakage of power in undesired direction. Nulls. The directions along which the field strength is 0, that is, along which no power is radiated, are called the direction of nulls. Antenna gain. Due to ohmic losses on the antenna surface, a part of the power supplied to the antenna terminals is lost in heating of the antenna. The full power supplied to the antenna is then not radiated. Problem. An antenna has a field pattern given by E of theta is equal to cos theta into cos 2 theta for theta between 0 and 90 degree. Find half power beam width and first null beam width. Solution. Given pattern E of theta is equal to cos theta cos 2 theta. We have to find out half power beam width. At half power points, field intensity is 1 by root 2. Therefore, equate the E of theta is equal to 1 by root 2 to the given pattern. That is 1 by root 2 is equal to cos theta into cos 2 theta. From this, I can write cos theta is equal to 1 by root 2 into cos 2 theta. Therefore, theta is equal to cos inverse of 1 divided by root 2 in cos 2 theta. Theta is equal to cos inverse of 1 by root 2 cos theta, cos 2 theta. This equation I taken from the previous slide. Now we have to find out the theta in such that left hand side is equal to right hand side. For that I have to assume some values. When theta is equal to 0, what is the theta in the left hand side? Sorry, when the theta is the 0 in the left hand side, what is the theta for the right hand side value? That is, if I write cos inverse of 1 by root 2 cos 2 into 0. So what is the answer? Theta is 22.5 degree. Then when theta is equal to 0, theta is 22.5 degree. It's not equal. Now I'll go for the second assumption, that is theta is somewhat 10 degree. Then theta is, I got 41.2 degree. Again it's not equal. I'll go to the third assumption. If I consider 20 degree, what is the answer? Theta is equal to cos inverse of 1 by root 2 cos into 2 into 20 degree. Then I got 22.6 degree. Okay, somewhat nearer. Then I'll go to then 21 degree, because theta is 20 degree. I got theta is equal to 22.6 degree. Then I'll go for the theta is 21 degree. What is the answer? Its theta is 17.94 degree. That means I have to reduce the theta from 21. I have to take the theta between 20 and 21. So when theta is 21 degree, I got 17.94 degree in the right hand side. That's why I'll assume now theta is 20.5 degree. Then theta is equal to cos inverse of 1 divided by root 2 into cos 2 into 20.5 degree. Now I'll get here also 20.48 degrees, almost 20.5 degree. So now left hand side theta is equal to right hand side theta value. That's why I can conclude that for half power beam width, I got the theta for the field intensity is 1 by root 2. For a given pattern cos theta into cos 2 theta, I got the theta is 20.5 degree. Therefore, my half power beam width for this pattern is 2 theta is equal to 41 degree. It's the answer for the given pattern. Then what about the first null beam width? For the first null beam width, at first null, field intensity is 0. Therefore, for given pattern, equate it 0. Therefore, cos theta is equal to, cos theta into cos 2 theta is equal to 0. Then, what is theta is equal to 45 degree. Therefore, first null beam width is equal to 2 theta, which is equal to 90 degree. We know that first null beam width is approximately equal to 2 of half power beam width. First null beam width answer may not be equal to the 3 into half power beam width. Problem. An antenna has a field pattern given by E of theta is equal to cos square theta for theta is between 0 and 90 degree. Find the half power beam width. Solution. For a given pattern, it's E of theta is equal to cos square theta. To find out the half power beam width, we know that field intensity at half points is 1 by root 2. Therefore, cos square theta is equal to 1 by root 2. Therefore, cos theta is equal to 0.707, root of 0.707. Therefore, theta equal to cos inverse of root of 0.707. Theta is equal to 33 degree. Therefore, half power beam width is equal to 2 theta, which is equal to 66 degree. So why half power beam width is 2 theta? See, if this is a x, y and z plane, then we know that this is our major lobe where this is a theta, right? And half power points is the half of the maximum radiation. Therefore, this is equal to, this is half power point is 2 theta. Similarly for the first null, if this is a null direction, it's a null direction, the one side, at this side I'll get theta. Therefore, from here to here, it's 2 theta for the first null beam width.